All Cooper CPAs, located in the heart of East Nashville, offer a wide variety of tax services for individuals and businesses. Contact them at 615-257-0646 and visit their website, allcooper.com, for a full list of services.
Jeff Meeks and Chris Austin invite you to watch your favorite sports event at the Batter's Box at 43 Hermitage Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. The Batter's Box offers shuttle service to all Titans home games. It's a great place for friends to gather for the game and after the game. So check out the Batter's Box Bar and Grill, and thanks again for sponsoring the show.
Microcasting for your city, Talkapolis.
And welcome back, everybody, to Political Soup. Crom Carmichael, Joe Williams, trying to figure out some things. And Crom, I know you've enjoyed visiting Italy before, and you've always got great stories, but this may be one of the best. They finally got their election done. What happened?
Well, it's really bad news on one hand, and it's really not on the other, but even on the same hand, it's really sad.
Okay.
And it's going to be a lesson for us. We're either going to learn from it or we're not. But Italy just had an election, and the center-left party won a plurality. Don't know exactly what the percentage is, but it was probably somewhere around 35, 36%.
Okay.
Maybe 38. Then the center-right party came in second, and it was a very close second. And then the third party, which is a party that was founded by one of Italy's top comedians, got 25% of the vote. Now, this is a lot like Minnesota, and they picked Al Franken, except the Italian comedian is actually funny.
Well, I was going to say, does this mean we can get Robin Williams to run?
I guess he looks at himself and goes, am I smart enough? But I mean, whatever it is that he does. But Italy, what they are is they now have a completely and utterly dysfunctional government. But let's look at what has happened over time. And this is what Americans need to understand, is that policies do lead to certain results.
Right.
Good policies, good results. Bad policies, bad results. In 1950, in Italy, the gross domestic product per capita was 4,400 pounds. Okay? Euros, 4,400 euros. By 1978, it had risen nearly 4 times, and these are in constant euros, to 16,600 per capita. So they had terrific growth for those 28 years. But a funny thing happened in 1978. They passed universal health care. Now, people can say that universal health care only affects health care, but it doesn't. It affects the psyche of a people, because in actuality, nobody has a fundamental right to health care, because if you take a person and put them on an island, and they say, and that person is the dictator, is the only person on the island, is a dictator, and also is 100% of the electorate.
Right.
And one night says, I'm going to have national health care on this island, and I'm going to dictate it, and I'm going to elect it. Okay?
Okay.
The next day, that person breaks his ankle and can't move for 2 weeks. What happens? He dies.
Yeah, he's stuck.
He dies. Okay. And the reason he died is because there weren't the resources to provide for the so-called right.
Okay.
We have a right to breathe because there's air. We can say we have a right to free speech, and we can say we have this right or that right. But if it's an economic right, if you say, I have a right to something that's valuable, now you're taking away somebody else's property right. And so the question is, what is a greater God-given right? The right to keep the fruits of your own labor, or the right to take the fruits of somebody else's labor so that you can pay for your health care? And all I'm saying is that happened in 1978, and since then, Italy has raised taxes, raised regulations, increased the welfare state, and now it is an utter basket case. They now spend their GDP, their debt to GDP is now 126% of GDP.
You can't survive at that.
Well, if it were not for the euro, they would have inflation that would be incredible. And one of these days, Germany is going to say in Spanish, no más. I'm not going to do it anymore. The northern European countries are going to say, you pigs, and the pigs are Portugal, Italy, Greece, and Spain. Those are all the countries down there, and France is about to be thrown in because what they're doing is they're chasing away all the people in France who would create jobs and invest in businesses through their high taxes. And so what we as Americans have to do, and this is where the media could help if it would, but it won't, is to go through the history of Italy and what's happened in the last 50 years. Because when an economy is growing, it takes a lot of years of bad policy to wreck it.
Okay.
And Italy is now to the point where it is just about to go Thelma and Louise on us, right over the cliff.
35 years.
35 years. Yeah, well, 40 years. 45 years. Well, no, you're right. Now, 78, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. But from 1950 to 78, they had good policies. And in that 28-year period, they grew 400% in 28 years.
And
400%.
It took them 38 years to wreck
to wreck it. To wreck it, yeah. So that's what we have to, you know, it really is going to be a study. And politically speaking, what you have is the people who elected the center-left party, they're now so dependent on the government check that they can't give it up because they're scared to death of what would happen. Now, when Germany says, I'm done, and by the way, it is the support of Germany that is allowing the state of affairs in Italy to continue to deteriorate. Because it would be forced, you would force change if they didn't provide the cocaine.
Given the history of Europe over the past 200 years, you know, going all the way even back further than Bismarck and some of the rest of them, do we not find? And you're big on history, and I guess I'm agreeing with you. There's so many times that we have seen issues similar and less cause catastrophic situations at a time when the ability to destroy things and people were nowhere near the level we are now.
Oh, I mean, it's...
And yeah, I'm talking about another war. You know, they hate each other some.
Well, I don't think Europe is going to come to war.
Okay, I'm thinking long term though.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
And that's not really the issue to me. I'm not worried about that. Now we could talk about the potential for military conflict in other regions, but I don't think it's going to be Europeans attacking Europeans. I do think what will happen though is at some point the northern European countries and the former Soviet bloc countries like Czechoslovakia and Poland that are actually doing well, those countries are going to say, we're not going to continue to support these countries, and so they're going to kick them out of the euro. Well, when they kick them out of the euro, then the governments of Italy and the people who are in charge will be forced. They'll be forced to make changes, or things will actually spiral even worse.
Will they make changes, or will they collapse?
Well, that's a great question, and
once you
eventually you have to make changes.
Once you get to collapse, you start talking about anarchy.
Well, and then things can get better. I mean,
I've become a real conspiracy theorist at the moment,
well,
you know. But
I'm a believer that if you take away the cocaine, and that's really is what Germany's doing now, is they're continuing to supply the addict with the means to stay addicted.
Yeah.
But we in the U.S., I'm not so much talking about what needs to be done in Italy as much as I am saying what we ought to be trying to learn.
Well, I guess that's where I'm at. You know, you kind of see what's coming.
Yeah, we're at 75%.
And the policies are still.
We're at 75% of debt to GDP. That's up from 50 since Obama became president. And those might not be the exact numbers, but they are very, very close. And unless we reform our entitlement state, unless we do things to create growth, then we are slowly heading in the same direction. Right now we're heading kind of maybe slightly uphill, maybe slightly downhill, but that's primarily because of what you referred to earlier, the stock market increase, the increase in asset values. But guess what? If you don't have investments in the stock market hadn't helped you at all.
True.
And if you're a working person who's trying to create wealth, you want your income to go up, not the assets of some guy who has stocks to go up. And that's where the rub is now.
Good points. Well, there you have it. Yet another lesson. And listen to him. I'm just a nut, okay? But Crom's got the facts. I just got the questions. That's why we have so much fun right here on Political Soup. We're going to come back and wrap this up with 2 questions. 1, what's a smart visa? And 2, why am I paying my own cell bill? Coming up next. Stay with us.